everybody, welcome back to our coverage of the GAMA Trade Show 2015. I am joined here by Brandon from Blue Orange Games. Welcome to the show, sir. And we are looking at a nice stack of games here, exactly my kind of game. Nice and little, tasty little fillers. What are we looking at here? Can you run us through a couple of these?
Yes, absolutely. So the first one we have here is Attila from Bruno Faidutti. It's a two-player abstract strategy game that uses some of the rules of chess. It's like a nowhere to go, trap your opponent move, but all the pieces move like knights in chess.
Okay.
Each turn you're going to be moving a piece like a knight in chess and then placing a flaming arrow that will block movement on future turns.
Okay.
You keep going until your opponent can't move anymore, at which point you win.
So 5-minute filler, that kind of thing?
It is like a 5 to 10 minute filler, yeah. It's very similar to our game Nia from last year in terms of light, abstract, play a whole bunch of games in a row. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, those two seem like they would be a nice 1-2 punch if you want to play a two-player simple 5-minute strategy game for two. Very cool, very cool. And comes in a tin similar to that game.
Yep. Stacking even.
What is that's good. It's got that ridge for stacking. Perfect. What's the projected release date on this?
This one should be out in April.
Okay.
Very soon.
And MSRP?
We're looking at $14.99.
Okay. Very cool. What else we got?
All right.
Tins. More tins.
Sushi Draft is a drafting game similar to other drafting games on the market.
Okay.
But this one is the most streamlined and simple in scoring. So it's another pick and pass game. You keep going until all the hands are gone. But this game, what you're doing is you're trying to get the most of one type of sushi. So the player with the most tuna is going to score points for tuna. The player with the most salmon is going to score points for salmon. One of the other differences in this game from other drafting games is it adds one more step. Normally it's a pick and pass. Here we have a pick, keep, and pass. So you're going to pick one card to score, pick one card to keep in your hand, and then you're going to pass the rest to the next player. So it adds just one more little level of strategy. But like I said, the scoring and the gameplay is very, very streamlined.
So what's the difference between the keeping a card and scoring a card?
So the scoring card is going to be turned face up, and just like any drafting game, your opponents are going to see it. It's how you score points at the end of the game. The keeping the card is you take one card from your hand and keep it in your hand, and then you'll add it to the cards that get passed to you. So you can deny your opponent. There's this a little bit more bluffing, a little bit more planning ahead.
Interesting. Okay, I got it. Very cool. And when is this coming out?
This one also should be right around April.
Okay, and I'm assuming about the same price?
This one's a little bit cheaper. It should be $12.99.
Okay, very nice. Cool. And I'm seeing what seems to be tiles here on the back. Is this tiles, cards?
Tiles and cards.
Okay.
So the cards are what you're going to be drafting, and like I said, the scoring is the streamlined part. So the scoring is actually it's played in 3 rounds. Each round, at the end, the player with the most tuna is going to take the top tuna chip.
Which is better than the later ones?
So there's a bunch of different ways you can play.
Wow. Hey, that's good. This sounds like it's got a little bit more going on than you would suspect at first. That's great.
On the opposite side of each chip has a point value.
Okay.
So you can either play where it's random and you just take it so it's face down, the point value, and you find out at the end of the game, or you can play face up where the point values are clear to all players.
Okay.
Sounds
good. 3 to 5 players, 15 minutes. Sushi Draft. All right, now this is one that I think I'm excited about. And I saw this in French before now, and I just couldn't pull the trigger, but now that it's coming out in English, now I'm very excited.
So this is Dragon Run. It's by the same creative team that did Longhorn for us last year. Very popular, very good for us. Bruno Cathala is the game designer, and Vincent Dutré is the artist. So similar in the creative team, very different in gameplay. This is a super light push your luck game, kind of inspired by the D&D universe. It doesn't use the rules of D&D, but uses those archetypes like wizard and warrior and thief and stuff like that. So this is a push your luck game where you are trying to steal treasure, so you have the most treasure at the end of the game. but you do not want to run into the dragon because the dragon will breathe fire on you and kill you.
That sounds about right. That's what dragons do.
So you have two things in this game. You have the treasure deck and you have the dungeon deck.
Okay.
The treasure deck is how you get treasure. The player with the most treasure wins. The dungeon deck represents the dungeon you're going through. There's only 10 cards in there. One of those 10 cards is the dragon. When you run into the dragon, he breathes fire on you. Oh no.
You die.
You die. You get half dead.
Okay.
2 times you're dead. And the rest of them are chances for treasure.
Okay.
So there's basically, am I going to push my luck and get treasure from the dungeon, risking running into the dragon, or am I going to be more reserved and either try to hide in the shadows or cry like a baby? Either one of those.
Both good choices, really.
Will prevent you from running into the dragon.
Okay, sounds good. So real quick filler, 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
Sounds like it says 2 to 5 players there. Okay,
Yep.
good. And this is coming out when? Because I
same
need to have it.
Same time. We got the pre-production right now.
Okay.
Should be April.
Very cool. Beautiful cover, too. All right, what else are we looking at?
Armadura. Armadura is actually a reprint of a classic abstract strategy game called Nuggets that came out in the early 90s. We updated it with a more fantasy-based theme and some more advanced rules for players who are familiar with the game. Basically, it's an area control game where you are trying to steal as much of the dwarves' gold as you can. At the beginning of the game, the board is empty except for the gold mines.
Okay.
So you randomly place gold on the board, and that's the points at the end of the game. You're trying to steal that gold. On your turn, what you're going to do is you're either going to take one of your tokens and place it face down on the board to try to claim territory. The tokens are valued 1, 2, 5.
Okay.
Or instead of placing a token face down, you can divide the territory into smaller subsections of territory by placing walls.
Interesting.
At the end of the game, you're going to flip up all of your tokens. The player with the highest strength in each territory will score the gold from that territory.
So you're cutting up the area in the area control game.
Exactly so.
Okay,
Yes.
very
Cutting up the area or place down tokens to try to claim.
And this plays up to 4, is that right?
2 to 4. Yep.
Very cool. And then this big boy, I'm excited to get to that because that looks really good.
So Crab Stack is another one of our children's strategy games.
Crab Stack.
Crab Stack. So it's very similar in spirit to Battle Sheep, which came out last year. It's a 2 to 4 player strategy game that kids and adults can both be on the same basic level. But in this game, what you're trying to do is you're trying to trap your opponent. So it's got a little bit of the Attila vibe where you win when your opponent can't move anymore. But in this game, what you're doing is you are stacking your crabs on top of your opponent's crabs. Only the crab on top can move, so as you stack yours on top of other crabs, you're going to be trapping the pieces beneath.
Interesting. And once your opponent can't move, they lose?
He's out of the game, and it kills all of his crabs. So he's out of the game, and any crabs beneath your stack will stay where they are, preventing movement from the pieces below it.
So this plays, 2 to 4 it says?
2 to 4.
Okay. Short, quick game.
Yep.
Similar to Battle Sheep.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. This looks really neat. Like a great kids and adults game. Very bright, very colorful.
Yep.
When is this bad boy coming out?
They all should be April. They should all be next couple months.
You guys are busy next month. Okay. I'll just stop asking. April. Everything's coming out April. All right. There's one more thing that you can share with us, I'm hoping, and we're very excited to hear about it.
So tell us. This is the big game for us this year. It's called New York 1901. It's out in Gen Con. It is fresh off the presses, still just a little bit in development.
Okay.
But we are very excited about this one. It's kind of like a mix of Blockus and Ticket to Ride.
Wow.
So, hey.
That's some good pedigree.
So it's got the Tetris pieces of Blockus where you're trying to, strategically place them on the board to block out your opponent. But it's also got that marketplace of Ticket to Ride where you've got the face-up cards and you can pick which territories to control.
Okay.
It's based on all the actually historically accurate skyscrapers in New York. So it's got a little bit of New York history in there too, but it's supposed to be just a solid family strategy game.
Sounds good. And you guys are shooting for later this year?
This is Gen Con. This is Gen Con, and we're going big on Gen Con this year with this game. We're going to have a bunch of tournaments, and our booth's going to be dedicated to it. We have a lot of hopes for this game.
Okay, sounds good. Really neat. Anything else you want to tell us?
I think that's it. we got a lot of good light strategy games.
We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
April is the month you want to highlight on your calendar, the whole month of April. Thank you, Brandon, for talking to us. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you soon.